All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. Adjustment convention. Snap. All right. Uh, Wonders of Medicine, Unit 1, Part 1, Basics of Drug Therapy, Receptors as Drug Targets. Physiology means that the branch of biology that deals with the functions of living organisms and their parts. Pharmacology means that the branch of medicine concerned with the uses, effects, and modes of the action of drugs. Toxicology means that the branch of science concerned with the nature, effects, and the detection of poisons. Immunology means that the branch of medicine and biology concerned with immunity. Bacteriology means that the study of bacteria. How do drugs actually work? Scientists have long tried to answer this question. They eventually realized that in order for a drug to exert its active action, human cells must have a site for the recognition and acceptance of a specific type of drug. This site of drug action is termed a receptor, and drug-receptor interactions have now become the focus of research for the development of the new drug. It was Paul Ehrlich, a German chemist, who first proposed the concept of receptors. His observation of drugs used to treat parasitic infections led him to conclude that each cell will have characteristics that allow it to recognize particular molecules. He proposed a lock and key hypothesis, that is, that the drug binds to a receptor in the same way that a key fits into a lock. This was based on his belief that the drug and the receptor must be structurally complementary in order to recognize each other and initiate an effect. Receptors, which are the primary targets of the majority of drugs, are biological molecules that have evolved especially for intercellular communication. This type of receptor includes ion channels and proteins in the plasma membrane. Basically, the biological function of this receptor is to respond to the body's own endogenous chemical messengers, such as hormones or neurotransmitters. When binding takes place, it triggers a series of biochemical and physiologic changes known as a response. Other types of receptors are the macromolecules, which are essential to a cell's normal function or replication, such as enzymes, lipids, or nucleic acids, particularly DNA. Drugs which bind with receptors and mimic the effect of hormones or neurotransmitters are called antagonists. Drugs which bind to the receptors but do not have the unique structural features necessary to activate them are called antagonists. Since antagonists occupy the binding side of the receptor, they prevent activation by agonists. Advances in the sequencing of the human genome have enabled researchers to identify the structures and the varieties of receptors. Many newly discovered receptors have become potential targets for further pharmaceutical development. G protein coupled receptors, GPCRs, and ligand gated ion channels are two of the most important receptor types now being targeted in the quest for new clinically useful drugs. Unit 2, route of drug administration. Small intestine, trachea, trachea, 気管支トラキア、レクチャム、レクタムってなんだ？レクタムってどっか書いてあるのか？レクタムどっかに書いてないのか？レクチャー、レクチャー。tongue, liver, lung, stomach, large intestine, esophagus, esophagus, エソファジスが食道なのかな？レクチャム、heart, レクチョ、レクチャム。For pharmaceutical agent to be effective in carrying out its selective action, the drug must be administered in an appropriate manner. Each route of drug administration has specific purposes, advantages, and disadvantages. 1. Oral route. With this method, drugs formulated in liquid or solid form are absorbed into the body from the gastrointestinal tract, GIT. This is the most commonly used route. Oral drugs are convenient, portable, painless, easy to take. Also, administration can be carried out by the patient him or herself. However, the onset of the drug effect is relatively slow. 2. Sublingual route. In this case, the drug, usually in tablet form, is placed under the tongue. This post produces a very fast onset of drug action because of the good blood supply to the area, but the duration of the drug's effect is usually short. Sublingual route or rectal route. This method can be used for patients who are unable to take drugs orally, or with younger children, elderly, or mentally disturbed patients. This route is useful when the drug is known to cause GIT irritation. However, absorption is often incomplete and effectiveness is unpredictable. Injection routes. Subcutaneous SC route. There are few blood vessels in the fatty tissue just below the dermis. Absorption is slow but usually complete. Thus, this route is suitable when slow and continuous absorption is required. As with this insulin or RG shot, intramuscular IM route, since large muscles are well supplied with blood vessels, drugs in a clear solution are rapidly absorbed and produce a very fast onset of action. However, for IM injection, medically trained personnel are required while its injection can be done by the patient. 3. Intravenous IV route. Through this route, drugs are injected directly into the vein and therefore directly into the systemic circulation. This method produces a very fast onset of action, and the therapeutic effect can be seen immediately. On the other hand, toxicity can be caused when high concentrations of the drug are delivered too rapidly. Consequently, the rate of infusion should be carefully controlled. 5. Inhalation. Drugs inhaled through the nose or mouth are particularly effective for patients with respiratory problems such as asthma, as the drugs are delivered directly to the site of action. Systemic side effects are minimized. In addition, since the drug dose necessary to produce the desired effect is much smaller than that for the oral route, side effects can be reduced even further. Topical route Topical drugs are applied directly to the skin or mucous membranes of the eye, ear, nose, or mouth. This method is employed when local effect to the drug is desired. Unit 3. Drug Development and Approval. Conventional method means that a way of doing something that has been used for a long time and is considered the standard. Compounds means that something that consists of a combination of two or more parts, commodities, etc. Promising means that showing signs of being successful in the future. Prescribe means that to authorize a particular drug or treatment for a patient, usually by a physician in writing. Trial means that a process of testing to find out whether something works effectively and is safe. How much do you know about clinical trials? For example, do you know how long it takes for a new drug to be approved? Once a new compound has been identified in the laboratory, it undergoes a lengthy process before it can be marketed for public use. The entire drug development process can be summarized as follows. Preclinical testing. Clinical testing, investigation on new drug application, IND, clinical trials, new drug application, and approval. During preclinical testing, a pharmaceutical company product laboratory and animal studies to test the effectiveness of the compound against the targeted disease. Preclinical testing also determines the safety of the new compound and studies the physical and chemical characteristics of the new drug substance. These tests take about 1.5 years. After preclinical testing, the company files an IND application with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) for permission to begin human testing. Without objections, tests to begin within 30 days. Clinical testing starts with phase 1 studies on 20 to 80 healthy subjects. The safe dosage range and how a drug is absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted by the body are determined. These tests take about a year. In phase 2, the potential drug is first tested on 100 to 300 patients suffering from the targeted disease. This takes about 2 years. If a new drug looks promising, phase 3 with 1,000 to 3,000 patients is started. It tests the therapeutic outcome of the new treatment compared to conventional methods. These human clinical trials are subject to strict review and approval by institutional ethics committees. This phase lasts about 3 years. Ultimately, only about one new drug ever emerges from some 10,000 newly synthesized substances. After the clinical trials have been completed, the company analyzes all of the data, and if the data is positive, files an NDA with the FDA. In 1997, the average NDA review time for new substances approval was 16.2 months. After this approval, physicians are then free to prescribe the new medicine. The drug manufacturer must continue to submit periodic reports to the FDA that include the appropriate quality control records and information on any cases of adverse reactions. For some medicines, the FDA requires follow-up trials to evaluate long-term effects. Developing safe and effective new medicines is a long and expensive process. The 11 to 13 years it takes on average from laboratory to pharmacy is very long for people suffering from terminal diseases. In recent years, this has led to greater pressure by patients who know they cannot wait for treatment. For these patients, speeding up the lengthy process is needed, a matter of life and death.確かにそれでいいんだよな。It's hard to describe. How it's used for a long time. Physicians try to answer this question. Alright. Damn, man. Mm-hmm. まあ入りつつあると。そうやばすぎる。あ、もしかしたらそうかもしれない。Alright. 横断病。14。横断の病の脈症並び日第15。 寸法の脈、負にして間、負すなわち負となし、間すなわち非となす、非、中風にあらず、死死反を苦しむ非色必ずを、お熱巡るをもってなり、不要脈金にして作、すなわち熱となす、熱すなわち国を称す、金にして官となす、食すなわちすればすなわち万となす、その脈不陣を破るとなす。不要の脈、金にして非破るとなす。風間愛打ち、国を称し、すれば、すなわち原子、国気小せず、一中濁に苦しみ、濁気下流して、小便通せず、陰、その間を被り、熱、膀胱に流れ、身体、ことごとく王なるを名付けて黒炭という。学上、黒く、少しく、汗、いで、主足、打ち熱し、白母にはすなわち発し、膀胱球に小便自利するを名付けて、女老炭という腹の水上のごときは治せず、心中応のして熱し食するあたわず、時にとせんと欲するは名付けて主炭という。陽明病、脈、地のものは、食するに、法を持ちがたく、法すれば、すなわち、範を発し、図言し、小便必ず片し、これ黒炭をなさんとなす。これを下すといえども、腹満ゆえ、元のごとし。しかるゆえのものは、脈、地なるがゆえなり。それ、主横断のやめば必ず小便利せず、その子心中熱し、足毛熱す、これその小なり。主横断のもの、あるいは熱なく、制限量、腹満してとせんと欲し、花乾く、その脈、負のものは、まずこれをとせ、賃元のものは、まずこれを下す。主炭、心中熱してとせんと欲するものは、これをとすればいゆ。主炭、これを下し、99にして黒炭となる。目、青く、面、黒く、心中、三世を食らうの、上のごとく、大便、まさに黒し。皮膚、これを書けば不尽す。その脈、不弱。黒しといえども、 美をゆえにこれを知る。死の曰く横断をやみ、発熱反戦し、狂慢して口乾く者は、病の発する時をもって、火にて、その汗を脅かし、涼熱にて、うるところ、しかれども、王か、うるところは、質よりこれをう、一心ことごとく発熱し、面王に腹熱す。熱理にあるはまさにこれを下すべし。脈沈にして、かつして水を飲まんと欲し、小便利せざる者は皆王を発す。腹満し、腹満ち、腹満ち、腹満し、腹満ち、腹満してとし、腹満ち、腹満ちっていうのか、腹満ち、絶意を、そうして眠ることを得ざるは、王家に属す。横断の病は、まさに18日をもって、きっとなすべし。これを治すること10日以上にて言う。かえって激しきは致しがたしとなす。ただして渇する者は、その単致しがたし、単して渇せざる者は、その単致すべし。単にして渇する者は、その単致しがたし。単にして渇せざる者は、その単致すべし。陰部に発すれば、その人必ず応す。陰部に発すれば、その人必ず応す。陽部。陽部は、その人震撼して発熱するなり。黒炭の病たる寒熱食せず、食すればすなわち頭現し、心心境心休安からず救急として王を発する王黒炭となす。陰鎮行とこれを司る。陰鎮行獅子大王。陰鎮行獅子大王。右三味。水一升を持ってまず陰鎮行に行って陰鎮を煮て六升に減じ、二味を入れ、煮て三升を取り、かすを去り、分かち温め三服す。小便まさに利すべし。尿は総角の汁の上のごとく、色まさに明し一色にして服源氏。王 小便より去るなり。王が日歩所発熱し、しかして帰っておかんし、これ、女郎にこれを得たりとなす。これ、女郎にこれを得たりとなす。暴呼吸に承服満し、呼吸に承服満し、真ことごとく王に、学長、黒く、足元熱す。よって黒炭を作る、その腹張って水上のごとく大便必ず黒く時に通す。これ女郎の病。水にあらざるなり、水にあらざるなり、腹満のものは知識がたし、小石、半石、三、これを司る。小石、晩石、三、これを司る。389。小陰の病、下痢、清国、罹患、解熱、主足、血逆、死、脈、微にして、絶戦と欲し、心変えておかんせず、その人面赤色なに、あるいは、腹痛し、あるいは肝をし、あるいは陰痛し、あるいは利やみて、脈いでざる者は、通脈刺逆とこれを司る。通脈刺逆と、小陰病刺逆その人、あるいは外死、あるいは気死、あるいは小便利せず、あるいは腹中痛み、あるいは肺切離、下重する者は刺逆酸、これを司る。刺逆酸騎士、最後。小陰病、下痢、6、7日、害して王し、 可視、審判、眠ることを得ざる者は、除霊とこれを司る。小陰病、これを得て2、3日、構想因関する者は、急にこれを下す大乗祈祷によろし。小陰病、自利、性、水、色、純、性、進化、必ず痛み、口口乾燥する者は、急にこれを下す大乗祈祷によろし。小陰病6、7日、腹中し、腹調子、代弁せざる者は、急にこれを下す大乗祈祷によろし。小陰病、脈、鎮の者は、急にこれを温む刺激とによろし。小陰病、脈、鎮の者は、急にこれを温む刺激とによろし。物資、カンカン。人参。小陰病、飲食。口に入れば、すなわちとし、心中、温々として、とせんと欲して、また、とすることあたわず、はじめこれを得て、出足、冷え、陰脈、元、地のものは、これ胸中実す。下すべからざるなり、まさにこれをとすべし、もし格上に官陰ありて、官をする者はとすべからず、急にこれを温む刺激とによろし。3、8、2。